There's a question I would like to ask you, because I've asked everyone, and it is fascinating, and I know you're well read in all of this. So, given all of your background and your knowledge, and everything that you've learned through all your academic studies as well as obviously practical studies, what is there a book that you would recommend, or several books if you wanted, that a fellow leader should get hold of and read and understand?
Yeah, so can I recommend? I'm going to recommend 3.
Okay. Cool.
The first is, we've touched on this one, and every leader should read it. It's called The Fearless Organization, and that's by Amy Edmondson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so this just sets out how you can create this culture of fearlessness. And for any leader who's trying to get their team to thrive and be well and happy and productive, but also to innovate, you need to read The Fearless Organization. It's a wonderful book.
And she was the one who came up with that. You used the term cultural safety.
So psychological safety.
Okay.
The second one I recommend is a book called Questions Are the Answer by Gregerson. And it's really based on the premise that questions have this curious power to transform the way people talk to each other. So his main point is that as a leader, you should ask far more questions. Most of what you do in terms of speaking should be asking questions. And he's written a whole book on it about how we have difficult conversations through questions. And actually, it goes back to this. We no longer need imposter syndrome if we're asking questions. Questions are they're freeing. So, actually, as a coach, a big 90% of my role is not to give advice, but to ask the right questions, because we all have these answers inside ourselves to the most difficult challenges that we face. And then the final book that I would recommend is Influence by Robert Cialdini. And I think the reason it's really fascinating from a behavioral perspective is why we do the things that we do and how we are influenced by others. And I think, I was really interested in this book from an innovation perspective, because a big part of innovating is influencing. So, I think we quite often get so focused on what we're going to create, so we get a bit stuck on creativity and then how we're going to produce this product, that we forget that we actually have to take people along the journey with us, and we forget that we really need to be able to speak well and in a way that our customers will want to engage with us. And so this book is all about actually how we influence, not in a dark kind of Bond an evil Bond person kind of way, but in a using psychology, using the power of psychology to have the influence that you want to have. It's a great book. Have you got it?
Ta-da!
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Although, as is often for me, and I don't know if you can see it, but I've only ever got halfway through.
So I downloaded the Audible version and I listened to it in the car, and it made school runs suddenly really exciting.
But you know what? It is actually a very good book, I have to say. And although it kind of scared me a little bit, because it's obviously being used by many people in the business world and the political world to go through.
It scared me from the perspective of, I have no desire to influence people for anything other than in a positive way. It's frightening to know how much we are all influenced. Even I think of myself as being a really independent thinker, but reading the book, I realized actually how often I'm influenced by things. And actually, whether you want to influence or whether you just want to understand influence, it's a really important book to just to stop yourself from being caught out by people who would try to influence it in a malevolent kind of way.
Well, but also just consider the fact that, I mean, and its importance is significant in today's world, which is when this was first written, it was very much a non-digital world. And now, unfortunately, in the expanded edition, which I had, it now brings in that digital influence, because actually, the influence has got far more significant from digital forms of which are not always people. They're algorithms which are causing the influence, not the people. And I think that's a significant piece of learning that we all should have. So yeah, that's there you go. That's the third one that Amy's recommended, and I would second definitely that.